Okay. Okay. So we're going to start with a centering of sorts. For those of us who can move around, we're going to start by walking around the dojo. If you haven't got space to move around or that's difficult, you can practice just getting up, standing up and sitting down, or doing some movement. Doesn't really matter if it's just your hands. Just you could be conducting a band or something like that. Just waving your hands in the air. So what I want you to do basically is to walk around any direction, any way you like, not thinking about anything in particular. And now I'm just going to ask you to change that. I'm going to ask you to focus on your center and to move from your center. So you're thinking about this driving you forward as you go. Okay, that's probably enough. Observations. What did you notice?
My movements have become a little more lateral as I'm moving, so I'm more grounded.
Okay. Other people's observations?
My upper body got lighter.
Okay. James, anything?
Right, the same, because I kind of do that anyway.
Okay. Anybody else? So I'm going to ask, Vitali, as an observer, what did you notice?
Actually, I would say, speaking about me, I concentrate on that all the time. Just concentration and control your move and your steps, and just control.
Okay. So I did have a vague idea of what I wanted to do. So, and I didn't want to sort of seed what you were going to do. But for me, the first one, when I wasn't really thinking about anything, I didn't really notice much about what was going on around me. I saw it, but I didn't see it. And the second one, when I moved from my center, everything came into sharp focus. And I felt a lot more purposeful. My walking was a lot more purposeful. I know I speeded up. I don't know if you noticed that, Vitali. I was hoping you might. And yeah, just generally, I was just so much more aware of when I did that. Now, it could be, as you said, James, that because you're fairly purposeful anyway, when you walked about the first time, you were moving from your center. Did anyone else experience what I found, that it got sharper when they moved, when I asked you to go from your center? Obviously not. That's okay.
There's a sense of confidence that possibly does equate to that. Yeah, I'm thinking of that. That might be another way of thinking about what's actually happening. Yeah,
I think that comes with it too. Yes, you feel slightly more like nothing can touch me. Not that you're focusing on that, but it just feels like, you know, you're more in control of what's going on.
Generally sharper.
Yes, generally sharper. So I wanted to connect the idea of working from center with purpose, and to ask you the question. So, what is your purpose in Aikido? Why do you turn up to these sessions? even in a pandemic when you've got every excuse not to? Why do you train in your Aikido? I don't mind who starts, but if I could have a sentence or two from each of you, that would be lovely.
To give to my students.
Okay, that's great, John. What's in it for you?
I need it. I can't live without it.
Okay, so what does Aikido give you that you need so much?
Oh, that's a difficult one because I've been asked it so many times over the 50 odd years I've trained, and the reasons have changed. The reasons have changed from pure self-defense now to just joy and harmony.
Brilliant. That wasn't so difficult. It was just lovely.
It become more Aikido for living your life, part of your life,
Yeah. Okay.
part of what you're doing. And for me, it keeps my mind and body being, general daily practice to get that discipline of practice and discipline of living properly. It's easy to live and not live, but it's harder to live and be part of living.
So are you saying that Aikido training gives you a more fulfilled life?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Who else wants to offer something? I will get to you if you don't offer, so you might as well get in there quick.
Well, for me, it has been recently a lot. Go home, go back to my home, my body. But I think, as John said, it's changing. So I'm able to change with Aikido and go on with my changings and work on my changings with Aikido.
Okay. So I just make the obvious observation that we all change with time, whether we like it or not, but you're directing the changes. So what are the changes that you're working towards that's important for you?
Relationships.
Lovely.
How do I encounter people?
That's a pretty important one. Anything else? It can be just that. That's okay.
Well, listening to my voice. It's
Okay.
not others, and making this difference, which is somebody else's voice and which are mine.
Okay. So finding an inner strength, if you like, discovering your strength in order to have better relationships. Is that a good summary?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
James?
I've been doing Aikido now for so long, it always keeps on changing the reason why I practice. And it's always exploring something new with it, including myself.
Sure.
As you said before, it's as you grow older, your mind physically all changes. So what you do, how you think about it keeps on changing.
Yep.
And then that gives something more to explore and to figure out.
I agree that every door you open seems to offer the potential another 10 doors that you could walk down and explore. So you never get to the end because there's always something new. What direction are you traveling in that gives you joy?
I think it's the calmness it brings. Even from doing, practice by yourself to doing randori, it gives a sense of calmness.
Right.
Even under randori, say when you're under pressure, it's that kind of keeping calmness. It's a learning process. It's not the randori and the physicality of it. It comes to actually the calmness in the center of it.
Okay. And why is calmness important to you?
I think it's due to life experience and work. What I do is came part of me with the staying calm in difficult circumstances. So it just kind of falls all to one. So it gets hard to get it's difficult to answer because it all comes one.
Yeah. Okay, that's lovely.
Part of who I am now.
Yeah, good. Finn?
I'm showing how suggestible I am, but I think there's a sort of self-awareness that actually breeds connection and more concern for the world. So it helps alleviate self-concern through that self-awareness, and that persists even in what you managed to achieve here in these online sessions. That's great. So just a rebalancing of energy and connection.
Good, excellent. Vitaly?
Okay, what I want to say, whenever I started my journey in Aikido, whenever I realized and understood technique and spiritual part and the flow of energy and all this stuff, and when I realized that there's no bottom in understanding it, it's like eternal, and it's always changing, and it's always different whenever you approach any technique. Anyway, it's never the same. It's like, I like to say, it's jazz, which you play all the time. And what I like about it, when I started realizing that, I wanted to share it with other people, and especially having disability, what I want through my understanding to bring it to other people to understand that and use it. And use it not only, like I usually say, Aikido is just a driving force. It's something to start with. I never force anybody who comes to us to say, okay, you have to stay here and do martial art and all this stuff. And, I'm saying it's just a path for you. Okay. It's not limited by Aikido. Sure. It's just principles and the way to go, the way to change. So it's the way to change.
In a few short words, what's your path, and what are the things that really it gives you that are so important?
I would say I want to understand it all through, to absorb it all and share with other people and bring some difference to other people.
Okay, but what are the bits that you want to absorb that make such a difference for you? Because it's more than just technique for you, I know. What's it giving you that even in difficult circumstances you keep going with it?
I would say it gives me more energy. I would say it energizes me. It gives me more control of my body.
Yep.
If I speak about just myself, and it gives me better connection with other people which I'm talking to, and which I'm trying to share my experience and share what I have. And if I feel good after doing that, why not to share it with other people and give them something good to do?
Absolutely.
And like you remember, I was telling you about the name I made up for the path we do, and it's Kaifuku in Japanese, which means to bring everything back to do it again. There's another word, Kofuku in Japanese, which means the state of happiness. And whenever you start interrelating with people, you start working with your partner, you start do your practice, and it's exchanging, it's constant flow of power, of energy, and you exchanging that, and you're really, I usually feel happy when I do that. It's like, just that's what I want to share.
Perfect. Lovely. Thank you. I know you hate me asking you questions, Caitlin, but have you got anything you would like to offer? You can shake your head if you don't want to. You don't want to. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so why I'm being persistent on this is because to me that if you don't understand your purpose, how do you direct your training? So one of the reasons I think that you know, we actually have come together as a group over this last year is because we share a lot of purpose. We found people that think not exactly the same as us, but think very similarly to us and have, enjoy the same things out of this practice that you know, that we personally get. And because we're all slightly different, it's brought a real richness and depth to the group, and made it even more meaningful, I think, than it could possibly have been, well, than I could possibly have imagined when we started this journey. And I just think that you want to have your purpose right out in front of you and be very clear about what it is you want from your practice, because then you can filter out the stuff that you see that just has no meaning and won't assist you on your journey, and you can focus on the stuff that will help you on your journey. I mean, if you're going to study this stuff as hard as you guys are, you might as well use your time fruitfully. So that's I just thought it just, you know, it's worth discussing and talking about, and always having it in your mind. So when you step onto the mat, you remind yourself of what your purpose is. And what bit are you going to focus on in that lesson that you're looking to cultivate for that particular session? Okay? So one of the things that was a common theme amongst what you said was connection. And it seems to me that connection is quite an intangible, especially when you're doing it across this space here. But even on the mat, getting that connection right is very intuitive, I think. And we have a number of options on any occasion in terms of our physical movement. So when someone's in front of you, what are our options? So the question should be, well, what are they doing? Because that might limit your options. Okay, so if they're standing still and you want to connect, let's just take that scenario. What possible way, in terms of physically how you're relating to them, what could you do?
Smile.
You could smile. You could offer a shaking hand. Yes, you could.
Shaking hands is an important one.
Yeah, yeah, possibly.
Because you can tell a lot by someone's handshake.
True, true. So I was thinking even more basic than that. So you could stand face to face with a space between you.
Mm.
You could choose to enter and hug. You could choose to enter and stand by their side.
Mm.
You could walk away. All of those are possible options and might be the best solution for cultivating that relationship.
Mm.
Have you ever had moments when the last thing you wanted was someone to come and give you a hug, or to stand by your side, or even to be there? There are times when you just want to be on your own. And there are times where you need a hug, and there's times when you need someone to walk beside you, and times where you need to stand face to face and connect in a way that, you know, it's stronger than standing side to side when you're looking somebody in the face, I think.
Yeah, in the world I've brought up in, when you talk to people like me, many people, we always hold each other's hand. You don't have to be going out with them or anything.
Yeah.
But if they're blind too,
Yes.
it's a way of linking.
Yeah, that's really good.
And if you do it in a sighted world, it's sometimes misinterpreted.
Yeah, absolutely. But so valid in the world of the blind. I can totally see why that would be really, really important. And the thing is that when in our Aikido practice, we intuit in an instant what's the right thing to do. Is it to take a step back? Is it to take a step in? Is it to step off the line? Is it to turn? Is it just to come in a rimanagi, very direct? We have to make all these choices, and we have to understand what's the right one. But actually, you do this day to day in every relationship you face all the time, without thinking. You know, you wouldn't go into the greengrocers normally and hug the staff, kind of inappropriate usually. Very rarely you might, but usually it's the wrong thing to do, okay? And really part of our Aikido practice is about developing this sensitivity of knowing what to do and when to do it. John, did you have a point you wanted to make?
I was just saying, on that subject of connections and contact, I found today was quite important to me because I was wearing a mask in the supermarket. I wanted to thank the cashier, so I thanked her with my eyes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and so very often as I walk down any street and someone passes me, I always look them in the eye and I smile. Well, they can't see the smile with the mask on, but they see it in the eyes, and and I can see it in their eyes too, because you get the smile back. So yes.
Painting. Yeah, I forgot to tell you today. Well, I was in the grocery store and a guy was coming and you're, oh my God, where should we go in this awkward situation? And then we smiled with the eyes from each other. And it's completely, I released all of the tension at that time. Yeah. And it's impressive, the power of our eyes also.
Okay. Good, marvelous. I like it. So we're going to practice some really just basic movements, but moving with a sense of purpose and moving always in balance. So we're not always right in the middle. You know, when we take a step forward, we're probably not as centered as when we're just standing still, but we need to know how do we move in distance and still stay centered? How do we move when we're moving slowly and stay centered? So we're just going to play with this a bit. So let's just start by standing and noticing the feeling underneath our feet. And if you're not standing, you might notice the weight dropping down into your bottom. I'm very aware of a kind of flow of gravity down to the ground in this moment. I don't know why, but I am. Okay, I can just feel it draining down to the ground. And I feel centered because I'm calm and relaxed. Okay, now just take a step forward, a normal step forward. Okay. So you've shifted the way that your weight is distributed on your body. In what way? What's changed for you? I've still got good connection with my front foot and my back foot, and actually the weight's distributed between my legs. But as I come forward, it shifts onto that front leg, but I've still got this back leg grounded. If I go too far forward, so that my back leg is, I've only got the toes on the ground, suddenly I feel vulnerable in a way that I don't when I just shift my weight forward onto that front knee and I leave this grounded. So when I walk, I'm fairly quick in moving that foot because I don't want to get to this place where my toes are on the ground and I'm a bit too far forward and I feel uncomfortable. So keep my upper body straight above my hips and step and step. And if I do that, if I keep my upper body straight, then actually I can move from foot to foot and I still have a good sense of grounding as I do this. I don't feel at any point that I'm losing. If I rush, it's not the same. If I let my upper body fall forward at all, in my eagerness to get there, I just don't feel as balanced. So let me just check in with you guys. Am I talking rubbish here, or are you getting a shared experience? So you don't all need to comment, but you can nod your heads if you're getting a shared experience and go, no, it didn't work for me.
I suppose it goes back.
Walking with my head, it's a lot upper.
So
I'm not grounded at all.
You're not
walking from my head.
Right. And when you move from your center?
Yeah.
Much more grounded.
Hip loading, loading hips.
Yes. Yeah, well, you are hip loading, John, but you're letting your whole body weight being supported through the hips and then down to the ground as well. Finn, did you want to say something?
I suppose from my own practice, sometimes when we talk about moving, we think about releasing from your ankles, knees, and hips. So you kind of sink,
Yes.
not bending, but there's like the joints open, so you can move without kind of thinking from your center. You are sort of moving from your center, but you're grounding first.
Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, let's increase the movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a step back. A big step. Take a big step. Stop. How do you feel now? I'm okay on this front and back plane, but if anyone wanted to knock me on the side, it would be a bit like walking on a tightrope. I don't feel so comfortable now. So naturally, when I'm here, I draw up, and now suddenly I feel stable again. Yeah. So you're never going to plant, or you shouldn't, in my humble opinion, your feet this long distance apart, because you're creating a vulnerability which you don't need. So if you're going to make a big step back, draw up. Or a big step forward, draw up. So you can go front and back. You can deliberately keep the distance and just notice what you feel, and then allow yourself to draw up and notice what happens then. And now, just to keep it fresh, put a turn in at the end. So a big movement forward, and step, and draw up. So I can cover 4 mat widths in no time at all if I stay centered and I take a big leap. Okay, so how are you finding that? Are you finding that you're good and stable, or are you losing it a bit as you increase the speed and the distance that you're moving?
I'm using my legs as an accelerator to push me off, and then a brake to stabilize me on the return.
Great. So you're feeling good and stable throughout it?
Yes, accelerator, brake, accelerator, brake.
Great. Okay. Other people's experience?
I never thought of... Sorry.
Yeah. Go there.
Go,
Okay, so in my big step back, I tend to go too much to the back, and then I just made a counterbalance with my upper body when I step back, so I could stay more in balance.
Okay.
And the same thing otherwise. So trying to, but it's still a little strange.
Okay, I've got something for you in a minute. Finn?
Just thinking about the purpose, I've never thought of before stepping back as a sort of creative step because you're making space.
Yes. Whatever option you choose, there's a reason for doing it in Aikido. If it's the right place to go, it will feel right. And there's no rules on whether it should be front, back, stay. Keep your space and keep them out of your space. Just walk away. All of those are possibly the right solution on any particular occasion. Anything else anyone wants to offer before I make the next point? Okay. All right, so this time when we do it, you are really going to be focusing very sharply forward as you go forward. But as you put that turn in, you're immediately going to flick the switch and give all your attention to the opposite direction. So as you're drawing that foot up after the turn, your attention should already be 100% away from where it was and be given 100% in the other direction. And what I'm hoping you'll find is that you don't get that moment of, oh my goodness, I'm falling off balance, that you are just ready for the next movement. Let's try it. So I'm thinking in front of me, and now I'm thinking in front of me. As soon as I'm turning, I'm switching the direction of my energy. So it's a really sharp, so it's quite intense, Joe. You've got to give everything of yourself to the two directions you're going in. Imagine there's somebody over there and then there's somebody over there, and you have to give them 100% of yourself. If your mind wavers at all, you're going to get stuck a bit. Try it again. So I'm really imagining somebody's in front of me and I want to go to them and get to their side. Now there's somebody over there. Okay, so what we'll now do is we won't have so much movement, but we'll keep that intensity of purpose. So my mind is there. Now it's there. Now it's there. Now it's there. So we're just going to hold our spot in the center and moving from our center really sharp. Try switching feet. Okay, so how are you finding that?
Power is coming from my hips, and I'm finding a point in the room for a point of reference, something eye height that I can focus on after each turn.
If you actually have a point to focus on, it gives you the intensity that you want. So I'm happy with imagining it rather than looking at a focal spot, but a focal spot will work just as well. Did it sharpen what you were doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're going to go 4 ways. I'll let you decide in what order you decide to do it, but you have to go front, back, and then the 2 sides, and just keep switching. Imagine you're doing randori, you don't know which direction they're coming from. You just spin it and you turn. Yeah, and if you need to start a little more slowly to make sure that your intensity is right, that's fine, but make sure there's a lot of intention in your movement. And as you do it, that your upper body is aligned and you've got this lovely connection with the ground. And then maybe you can speed it up and try to keep those same things. Okay, so when you're doing your sort of Aikido movement, your hand movement, where do you position your hands? Is it out there somewhere? Here, where, so you can play with this a bit. You can just keep moving it backwards and forwards and making the movement smaller and smaller. Where do you want to stop?
To the extent of my key cut, I will stop.
Yeah, so where I'm just looking at where your elbows end up, and that looks pretty good to me. Joe, where your elbows are now, notice that your elbows are by your side and your hands are in front of you. So there's no reaching out. This is where you feel most comfortable. This is where you're most able to express your power from. And the feeling you've got now is really the area of operation for all of your Aikido. As soon as you start reaching out in places, you're vulnerable. So even if I'm doing an Aikido and I want to go high, I might have to enter a bit with my body, but notice that my elbows stay quite close to my body. You can go through a range of movements, but always my elbows stay tight to my body. So here I just feel really powerful in a way that as soon as I start moving my arms forward, my balance shifts, my feeling of power changes as well. And so whether I'm going to go to Gaesh, Shianagi, Yonkyo, Sankyo, always, I'm operating with my elbows, not crushing my ribs, but just where they naturally would hang. So you've got a 360 view of where my elbows are. And you can play with this yourself and move them out a bit and notice that it changed for you. And you can, rather than stopping in the right place, my claim's right place, it's for you to experience. What happens when you go back? What's going on in your shoulders when you really push your elbows back as far as you can? What happens as you come back to a sort of more, where's the place after that? Oh, I want to stop here. But then carry on and go to the extreme. I just know that at either extreme, I am so much less effective than when I operate in that optimal position. Thoughts, comments? Is this so basic that it's not worth mentioning?
No, I think it's important because too often we see people doing technique, they're working with their arms away from their body.
Yeah.
It's like they're keeping the rookie far away as possible.
Yes.
And then you're trying to impose on top of movement, and it doesn't work.
If you think about it intuitively, the last thing you want to do when somebody's attacking them is let them into your space. So naturally, you're going to bring your arms away from your body, but actually, it's the worst thing that you can do. You actually need to let them in so far to be able to have any sense of connection and blend, and from there to be able to direct where this situation is going to end up.
Because the temptation is always to reach out, go towards someone in a physical sense.
Yes.
But actually, you want to draw them in.
Exactly.
You're in your own space.
Yes.
Your own body shape and space.
Yeah. So in my dojo, I will often talk about when I learned to ski. So when you ski and you're on a very, very steep slope, the last thing that it sounds sensible to do is to lean down the hill because you feel sure that that's going to make you fall over. But that's exactly what you need to do to control your skis. So you can control the edges of your skis and take all the speed out of the slope if you lean into down the mountain. But if you lean into the mountain, all that happens is your skis lose connection with the snow and you take a perler. So Aikido is a little bit like that. You have to do the thing that your brain is screaming at you. This is a stupid thing to do. Why am I letting them in? That's exactly what you have to do in order to resolve the situation. For as long as you're holding them out, it's you and them. There's no real connection. As soon as you welcome what they're giving you, then there's a sense of connection. And hopefully you can direct the connection to a more positive place to go. That sounds like a good place to stop, I think. So I just offer you the opportunity to offer me some final thoughts. And otherwise, my football team are on the TV. I'll probably go off and watch that.
Just lots to think about there. Thank you very much. So just thinking about that sense of connection, because it's getting dark here, I was thinking about reaching out when you can't see. You might tempted to reach out as a similar thing, but actually sensing from your center rather than from out here.
Yes. Good. Thank you, Finn. Anything else?
You have to give to get. That's what this is about.
Funnily enough, it's from an early age, I came up with the philosophy that in order to be unselfish, you've got to be selfish. Or to be to be unselfish, you've got to be selfish. You've got to give to get. So you could argue that's really selfish because you're only giving to get, but it works.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope to see as many of you as possible on Thursday. It's kind of the celebration of the year we've had, and I think it should be celebrated. It's been very special in very many ways. So whether you were late to the party, James, or early to the party, you are very, very welcome. We'd love to see you there on the Thursday session.
Can I make one point, please, Quinton?
Of course.
When we do eventually get back to class normality, will we continue Zoom lessons, even if it's once a month, get together?
I think I'm going to get beaten up if I don't now. So, yes. So I think that what I've said, what I might do, John, is this session, I want to put a camera in my dojo proper and let people join the lesson if they want from afar. Because I think with other people on the end of me, it might be even more meaningful, really. But the Thursday sessions, I want to keep those going, perhaps not once a week, but I definitely want to keep them going because I've made too many friends to want to throw that away, and it's too valuable. Hopefully you're all going to agree on a Thursday, but we'll find out then.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank
Okay. Thank you so much for showing up, as always, and have a wonderful week for the rest of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Quentin.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Good evening.